Breaking news dropped last night. Sam Leavitt likely to miss the Utah game? What does it mean for this matchup? We're breaking it down right now.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. First time tuning in, make sure you like and subscribe. My name is JT Wistersill, and we're breaking down, just reacting to the Sam Leavitt news. I mean, oh my goodness, what a shock this late in the week. Leavitt listed as probable on the initial injury report, and then all of a sudden, late last Thursday night, it was reported by Pete Thamel and the Big 12, just the injury designation, right, said that Sam Leavitt was moved to doubtful for the Utah game. And he was originally probable, but downgraded to doubtful. And even on a local radio show, Bickley and Mariota morning show, Kenny Dillingham said Leavitt had been battling something since the Baylor game and reiterates that he's not likely to play, barring something miraculous. Now, Matt Zenit of National College Football reporter for CBS Sports is reporting that Leavitt is expected to miss tomorrow's game versus Utah, and Jeff Sims is expected to start. So initial reaction, I mean, absolutely shocked. A reminder, Arizona State had a bye last week. So he said battling something since the Baylor game. Their most recent game was against TCU. So he's been trying to play through it for a little bit, but clearly this week, whether it was over practice or whatever, he's not going to be able to go. It sounds like he's not out. Once again, he's not out, but he's doubtful, and I'm shocked. And this is not good for the Sun Devils. Like, yes, this is a Utah podcast. I thought Utah had a good chance to win going into this matchup, but I mean, Sam Leavitt is still one of the, he has not set the world on fire this year, but he's still a really good Big 12 quarterback that led his team to a title last year, has already thrown for 1,000 yards this season, completing 63% of his passes, has 8 touchdowns. He has 3 interceptions, sacked a few times, and not the greatest QBR, but he's a veteran experienced quarterback. He's one of the best scrambling quarterbacks in college football, and him not being available for ASU, going into a road environment like Utah is, incredibly concerning. A reminder, the last time that Arizona State came to Salt Lake City without good quarterback play, they got absolutely steamrolled 55-3. Do I think it's going to happen in this game? No, of course not. The ASU defense, the sum of its parts is better than just the quarterback. But, man, is this not good for the Sun Devils at all? And it's, really concerning. Like, Utah right now, the FanDuel line is Utah 7.5. I'd go higher for that, right? I'm taking Utah all day, and the points right now on that. I think Utah's going to win by 10 plus. That's what a difference your starting quarterback makes. Sam Leavitt is a guy who, we mentioned the scramble ability, the toughness, the ability to make big-time throws downfield. Also, when your starting quarterback is out, what does that mean for your number one receiver on the outside, Jordan Tyson? Jeff Sims is an experienced guy. We'll dive into his stats momentarily, but that limits Jordan Tyson's ability to be effective too, because you don't have a quarterback who can then – Utah plays a ton of man, right? They ask the other quarterback to make a lot of NFL, like pro quarterback type throws, very tight window, pressure in your face. You're just going to throw it up to your guy, and it's hard to make those throws. And Leavitt's capable of making them. I thought Utah would play less man than they normally do. A reminder, if you saw yesterday's show, that Utah plays more man coverage according to Pro Football Focus, at a team in the country right now, or a higher percentage than man. And Utah, I think, wouldn't have been able to do that as much against a QB like Leavitt, who's really good, against a tight receiver like Tyson, who might be the best in the Big 12 conference. But now you might be able to do a little bit more of that because you are going to see Jeff Sims. So who is Jeff Sims? The backup quarterback is a senior who's played a lot of college football. His first season was in 2020, spent it with the Yellow Jackets at Georgia Tech. Was there for a few years, 3 years to be exact, 1 year at Nebraska in 23, and the last 2 years at Arizona State. Sims has thrown a lot of passes. In fact, he's attempted 705 throughout his career, so he's absolutely played in a lot of games. But he's never played in a game this season, and he's only thrown 25 passes as an Arizona State quarterback. He's completed 52% of those. So it's just concerning. You look at some of the years he was the starter too, like that Georgia Tech year, he's 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. His second year as a starter at Georgia Tech. And granted, we're talking about 2020 QB stats and now 25, but still, this is when he was the guy. He hasn't been the guy since. You look 12-7, the touchdown interception ratio the year after that. 5-3 the following year. How about his touchdown interception ratio in Nebraska? 1-6. That's insane. He can be a productive running quarterback, so that's something Utah has to keep an eye on. And ASU's rushing attack in this game will be their bread and butter to me. Look at those 3 years he was the guy basically and played a lot at Georgia Tech, rushed for over 300 yards in all of those seasons. We had 6 rushing touchdowns even his freshman year. So Sims, 6'4", 220 pounds, is a good athlete. And we saw Utah struggle with a mobile backup in Hammond, that Texas Tech backup a few weeks ago. So that's something Utah has to key on and make sure they're tackling and just tackling strongly. I mean, when you're seeing a backup quarterback like this who can run, and it's going to be in some ways a one-dimensional ASU offense to me with Sims, even if he can throw a little bit, just he's not a great passer, clearly. So it's going to be a big test here. They're going to need a massive game out of Raleek Brown, the ASU running back, at 506 yards. He's averaging over 6.5 yards per carry right now, 77 carries on the season, 2 touchdowns. Kenye Udo is also a guy at over 1,000 yards at Army last year. He hasn't gotten us going as much, but just a lot of different guys in here that are capable of making stuff happen. And unfortunately for ASU in the passing game, we mentioned it's really only been Jordan Tyson. He's got 483 receiving yards. No one else with more than 175 on the season for the Sun Devils. So obviously just not good numbers there. And this is just not good for ASU. But Utah's chances to win this game obviously increasing. But I also just hate that because I want the best guys to be out there on the field. I love Sam Leavitt, the competitor. I think he's a really good quarterback, even if he hasn't had the greatest season. So does this increase the likelihood that Utah will win? Yeah, but it's just, like I said, I just hate it. I think that this is just such an unfortunate situation that he's going to miss the game. It's also kind of crazy to think, I've been saying all week, this is when we finally learn how good this Utah team is. You know, maybe the ASU defense is capable of slowing down Utah's offense. They are a top 20, 25 team, not just because of that QB. So ASU has pieces and parts that are capable of slowing down the things that Utah can do, but I just feel like Utah is definitely going to win this game now. And if that's the case, then we still don't really know how good this Utah team is because they've yet to beat a good Big 12 team with a good team, I'd even say, with good quarterback play. So that's what will set up that BYU game is a very interesting one if this is the case, because neither Utah or BYU will have beaten what I even deem a top 10 Big 10 team yet. Yes, Utah would beat Arizona State, but it's not with their starting quarterback. So it's still hard to know how good this team can be. I expect the Utah defense to absolutely feast against this one-dimensional offense. I think Utah's had 2 weeks to work on the tackling issues, right? The defensive tackles, Vaimahi and Vailahi, are both supposed to play, and that's massive for this Utah team. With Jonalea playing well too, John Henry Daly being a threat off the edge. And a reminder too, Sims is a guy who's taken a lot of sacks in his career. Leavitt's already been sacked 12 times this season. It's an opportunity for Utah to really get out of things. If I'm Morgan Scalley, crank up the blitz pressure, take advantage of the fact that Sims has played a lot of college football. Yeah, but he hasn't played against this Utah team. And I just don't think he's ready for what Utah is going to be throwing his way. He could prove me wrong and have a big game. Absolutely. But I do think this Utah team has themselves a day instead. And I think this is going to be a strong performance by Utah. I think the Utah offense does enough against an ASU defense that isn't in the top 8 of the conference right now. They can stop the run, but they don't have the talent that Utah does in the trenches. So I expect Utah to get the run game going. Pass defense isn't great for the Sun Devils. So I do think Utah will connect on some nice to maybe even some big plays finally this week. And like I said, defense going to dominate. Going to be a fascinating game, and obviously a massive blow to the Sun Devils to not have their guy available. Sam Leavitt is more than likely going to miss the game. Listed as doubtful. We'll see if he plays, but it's a bad break all the way around. I want to tell you guys about a good opportunity, though, with our friends at DoorDash in one moment. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Utah Utes, I'm going to go with my guy, Wayshawn Parker. Those Utah fans are listening know I love Wayshawn Parker. He delivered in a big way with the massive touchdowns last week. Dampier rolled out to his right. He lofted the pass up to Wayshawn, and Wayshawn tiptoed the sideline and stayed in. He's continues to just be a breakout guy for me. This team averaging a ton of yards per carry too. Just no hesitation, no delay. He just attacks, and his performance wasn't a fluke. And just like Wayshawn's performance wasn't a fluke, and he delivered for the Utah Utes, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Feel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. This promo ends November 18th. You can head over to DoorDash today. That's going to do it for a quick reaction to this news, but drop your comments and thoughts in the show comments, guys. Like, I am stunned, obviously. It broke last night that he was doubtful and doesn't look like he's going to play. So how does this impact the game? I'm very interested and curious to see how it all plays out. Make sure you guys tune in. And reminder, after the game is over, as soon as the final whistle blows this week, we will be going live right after. So Locked On Utes live coverage following what should be a Utah Utes win over a banged-up Sun Devils team. But can Utah take care of business? We'll find out tomorrow night. Looking forward to seeing you all on our post-game show. Thank you for listening to this quick recap edition of Locked On Utes.